31.4, our next section is about immunity and technology. And yes, we skipped 31.3. It was a deep dive into the immune system that you only need to know really if you're going into like nursing or a more sciencey major in college. So we went over the overview of the immune system, and now we're going to talk about technology that helps our immune system. So there have been many technological advances to help keep people healthy, some just in the last few years. So to review, antigens are proteins found on pathogens. They are the red flags that tell our cells that something is foreign in our bodies, something that shouldn't be there. Our bodies produce antibodies to get rid of the antigen. Antiseptics, these kill pathogens outside of the body, and we've been using different chemicals since for a very long time to sanitize our area around us as well as ourselves. So antiseptics are non-specific, which means they kill all pathogens. They don't target just a specific one. We use them on our skin, our hair. We also use them to decontaminate surfaces in our house, such as counters and toilets. Cleaning supplies, soap, hydrogen peroxide, those are all various examples. Antibiotics kill pathogens inside of the body. These target bacteria. If there is a medication that targets viruses, we call it an antiviral medication. If there's a medication that targets fungus, we call it an antifungal medication. Antibiotics are a huge class. And it kills by destroying or interfering with the growth of cell walls. Bacterial cells have cell walls, so we disrupt that process and they can't function properly. Or there are some that can inhibit the synthesis of DNA, RNA, or proteins, that whole protein synthesis pathway. Overuse, however, can cause antibiotic resistance, which is a huge problem, especially in medical setting right now in hospitals. This is when bacteria mutate so that they are no longer affected by antibiotics. So even though we're taking an antibiotic, the bacteria, whatever bacteria is making us sick, is too strong and it's fighting it. And it doesn't die. Vaccines. These traditionally contain a weakened form of a virus or other pathogen that are responsible for specific diseases. More recently, however, researchers have made a vaccine from an mRNA strand of a pathogen. We all should know by now what pathogen that was. That was COVID. This form of the pathogen does not cause disease, does not mutate our DNA in any way. All it does is its antigens stimulate our white blood cells to produce antibodies, so that if and when our body is exposed to the pathogen, we now already have antibodies built up to fight. They can be made of four things: dead whole pathogens, weak pathogens, pieces of pathogens, like the piece of mRNA that the COVID vaccine is made of. They could also be made of bacterial toxins. These will activate our immune system, so we build up our defenses just in case we come in contact with that pathogen and get sick. And this is just a chart showing what deaths were like before vaccines, before various vaccines. So on the left in the red, that's the pre-vaccine era, estimated annual morbidity in the United States. Morbidity just means death. How many people died per year from those specific diseases before vaccines? And you can see, even if you can't see the specific numbers, there's a lot of red on the left. And then vaccines were invented for those specific diseases, and some of those numbers went completely all the way down to zero. People who get vaccinated do not get that disease anymore. The vaccines were a huge technological advance in our history. Who discovered vaccines? In the 1700s, Edward Jenner was the first. Like anything else, science is a pursuit of many different scientists working together. So Edward Jenner used cowpox to vaccinate people against smallpox. Vacca means cow in Latin, so we named the whole shot after that first vaccine. In the 1880s, Louis Pasteur discovered vaccines for rabies, among many others. In the 1950s, Jonas Salk and Albert B. Sabin developed a vaccine for polio. And like I said, just a few years ago, there is a group of researchers that discovered a vaccine for COVID, so we can get life sort of back to normal.